Cool.
Unusaka, hi everyone, good afternoon. We are ready to start with our first workshop for the Inuit Futures and Arts Leadership Shirk Partnership Grant. We're a grant project that encourages artists and others to take up leadership roles in the arts. And since the beginning of the pandemic and the lockdown, we've decided that we can take some of the funding that we had that had been earmarked for student travel and other things that are obviously now not happening for the next couple of months. And we figured out a way as a leadership team to support artists right now when people need a little bit of support, but also to create these workshops that we've been calling, Alethea Arnakok Barrels called the De-ICE-olation workshops to help us de-isolate a little bit together and just to get a chance to be together and share some stuff. So some of these workshops are going to be open to everybody and will be available online on our website, which is just inuitfutures.ca. Other workshops that share Inuit knowledge that we want to protect, like throat singing, are going to be closed workshops that are just for Inuit. So it'll be really clear on the website which ones are open to everyone, like this one, and ones that are just for Inuit. And it's going to be all kinds of different things. We'll be announcing soon, coming up next week, we have a couple of different short sewing demos that are going to be happening. Papatsi Kotik and Victoria Ukpik will be doing a couple of different sort of techniques and tricks for making parkas and other cool stuff. And we have a stop motion animation workshop coming up later in May. Yeah, it should be really cool. And one around stop motion with puppets. And another artist is going to be doing some making beaded necklaces. So we've got a couple lined up, and now we're going to be doing an open call for anyone who's interested, any Inuk artist who's interested in leading a workshop of any kind, anything in the arts at all. And so this is the first one to kick it off. So I'm gonna turn it over to Nauya. I'm gonna stop pinning my own screen, and we're gonna get started. So very, very excited to get to introduce our very first workshop leader, Nauya Vidahl. Is that how it's pronounced? Vidahl?
Nauya Vidahl, yes.
Yeah, Vidahl. And so Nauya has been a makeup artist for several years. She's completed multiple kinds of professionalization and expertise in makeup art. Her specializations are in theatrical and everyday beauty. And so today we thought it would be fun to do a kind of everyday look. And with that, I'm going to let her take it away.
Yay!
Hi.
Yay!
For those that may not know me, I'm Nauya. I'm an Inuk from Nunavik, and I currently live in Montreal now with my mother. And after going to Nunavik Sivunitsivut in the first year that it started, that was a really tough program. It was really tough learning about everything. So I figured I would pursue one of my main passions in life is makeup. So I figured it'd be a nice way to de-stress my brain a little bit and finally going into makeup that I wanted to go to. So that's a little bit about me. So I wanted to do this workshop mostly focused on techniques. So if you have any questions about products and stuff, I would rather you guys message me on Instagram at Painted by Nauya if you have questions about products. So we can focus on techniques. Sound good?
Good.
All right, so first, I like to start with doing my eyes. So I'm going to grab my eye primer. The reason I start with my eyes is because if I have any eyeshadow fall out, I can clean it up easily underneath. Plus, I prefer doing the eyes. So, can everybody see fine? Does this look okay? Good. So I start with the eyeshadow primer. Today's going to be a very easy, classic, smoky look.
Can we ask questions while you're doing that?
Definitely.
You really recommend always using an eye primer?
Eye primer always makes everything look a lot better, and it'll keep things on longer. I definitely do suggest using eye primer because and it'll make the colors pop up more.
Okay.
Is there
And
something
it'll
we should think about when we're picking out an eye primer?
as long as it's like kind of sticky, like you don't even technically have to use necessarily like a product that's an eye primer. You could also use NYX jumbo pencils. Those are really good eye primers as well. They have one called Milk. It's the white one. I really like using that one. So now that I have my eyeshadow primer on, and it's good now, I like to go into my crease. But because of the way my eye is shaped, you can see my crease here, but because of the way my eye is shaped and the way my eye looks when it's open, I like to put my eyeshadow a little bit higher than that so that you can actually see my eyelid, the lid shade I use. So when I do my eyeshadows, I always try to make sure I have my eyes open and I look directly into the mirror so that I can get it where I want it to be so that you can see it. Some people like to set their eyeshadow primer before they start their eyeshadow, like just using like a color that's similar to your skin tone. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow primer, so I don't really need to do that. So I just go straight in. And then I do little windshield wiper motions, going back and forth, and then do little side to side sweeps. I also find it really flattering to, when I'm out at this corner, to kind of flick it up so that it adds like a swooshy look to it. These are very technical terms I'm using. One thing my teachers always recommend is to do all the steps on each eye as you go. So again, I like to keep my eyes open and look directly into the mirror as I work.
What is the secret to getting the blending to go so well?
Really fluffy brushes. Like this one's quite fluffy. It's quite dense as well. So there's a lot of brushes to it. Morphe has some really good brushes for that. I also really like e.l.f. e.l.f. has some good brushes. So does NYX. These are brushes you can find at the drugstore. The e.l.f. and the NYX brushes. But it also helps if you build up your products slowly. Like just keep going, adding a little bit more. Don't dip back into the eyeshadow pan too often, especially this early in the stage. And you want to use a color that's like a few shades darker, or a shade darker than your skin tone.
Is that still the first color or the
Yeah.
second? Okay.
No, still only using one so far.
And you're just keeping it like above the eye crease is what you were saying, right? Just
Yeah.
the first shade, yeah. Okay.
Because of the way my eyes are shaped. And I find it's much more flattering, and then it doesn't make your eyes too small. Like if I did it in my crease, I would lose a lot of like eyeshadow space, I find. So I like to keep it out. Next, I'm going to take like a little brush like this. It's domed, but it's flat on the side. And then I go into a darker color. I'm using the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette today. The first shade I used is this one. Next shade I'm going to take is this one over here. It's quite dark, but I only touch it a little bit because I only want a little bit on my product, and then I tap it to get some extra product off. And then I go into the outer corner and I press lightly. And if I feel like there's too much product on my brush, I go into my hand and I kind of dab it off. And then I press and I slightly swoosh. I'm using very technical terms here. These are, my teacher definitely has used some strange words for our steps in class. But I really like using a brush like this. Like, this is actually one of my favorite brushes that I have for doing eyeshadow, because I feel like it can go right into that outer V really nicely. And then I can blend with it as well because it's fluffy. Because you have like dome brushes like this that are also flat, but they're too dense. These are good for like packing color on your eyelid, whereas this one's like fluffy, but also flat, so I can get right in there and blend with it. And then I like to, again, bring it out a little bit and then bring it in. And again, keeping an eye on my mirror so I can see where it goes on my crease. I'm going to go into the other side.
Seems like it takes quite a bit of time to blend.
That's also because I like taking my time to blend.
Yeah.
I'm just going back onto the other side because my left side is a little darker. It's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of like building up slowly and a lot of blending. I'm going to take another clean brush and I'm just gonna blend that out a little bit, help it out. Also, this kind of like eyeshadow look could really work with any kind of color you have going on. I like doing this shape and technique using like monochrome colors. So like using only pinks would be really cute, or using only blues. Like you could really do, like this is a classic eye shape for eyeshadow. But so far I've only used, one of the reasons why this is such a good, easy go-to eyeshadow look is because so far I've only used 2 colors. And I'm already really liking how it looks. It's very soft, very classic. I might leave it there for now. And then, because I'm pretty happy with how the eyeshadow is looking, I'm going to move on to my face. So again, with the face, I like to use primer as well. Primer really does just keep everything on your face better. Also, this one's like a brightening one, so it helps brighten up your skin a little bit. You won't see me focusing too much on my forehead because I have bangs. I find it's not very necessary to wear makeup on my forehead because I have bangs. So I'm not going to do this today, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of like theory with color correctors. Most people tend to tell you, like if you have some like redness and stuff, to use a green color corrector. I would suggest using yellow instead. Yellow is a more common color to find on your skin. Like you have yellow skin toned people. So it sits better on the skin, I find. Whereas if I were to use the green color corrector, once you have your foundation on and everything, you can kind of still see it a little bit, and it makes your skin look a little like alien. Like it makes your face look like you're wearing makeup. you know? Which, I mean, obviously you're wearing makeup, so it looks like you're wearing makeup, but the yellow one just looks more natural because yellow is more prominent in skin tone. So I'm gonna go right into foundation. I have this little kit here that has multiple shades. So I like to scoop some out. I don't actually tend to wear foundation too often. I prefer using powder foundation, but for the sake of today, I'm gonna use foundation, like cream foundation. So for this, I like to take a brush like this one. This one's a big guy. He's round, very dense and domed. So I like to go in and I just start applying.
And that's with a cream foundation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer creams over liquids.
And do you prefer brushes to sponges?
I do typically prefer brushes over sponges, but I do tend to go in afterwards with my brush, with my beauty blender, just to help blend things out a little bit. I also don't go too heavy underneath the eyes with my foundation because I'll be putting concealer on after. Concealer is very thick. It's full coverage, so you don't really need to add foundation underneath your eyes if you're going to be adding concealer there, because that's just adding more product, more layers of product on your face that is not necessary. I also prefer creams over liquid, only because like it sits better on the skin. It can melt right into your face a little bit better. And you always want to make sure you take it down to your neck.
And you said you prefer powder foundation, like that's just your preference, or?
Yeah, because I'm trying to like normalize skin because skin has blemishes, right? You have uneven tones, you have acne scars. I'd like to try and normalize that a little bit because it's normal.
Yeah.
So powder foundation is not as
Doesn't cover as much.
no, it doesn't. So it just adds like a little bit of evenness to your skin.
Right.
And that, and to be honest, most people don't really need foundation.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't find.
Yeah.
But that's also because like I feel like we should normalize normal skin.
Yeah.
So typically, if on a day-to-day basis, I'll just use some powder foundation, and that's if I even use powder foundation. I usually just stick with concealer underneath my eyes, and then I do everything else. I'm just adding a little bit of a darker color because I've noticed that this is not quite my shade. But I also don't have my whole makeup kit with me because it's under lockdown at my school in my locker. So
This is your winter skin.
yeah, yeah.
Or your
Exactly.
inside for 3 weeks skin.
Yeah, exactly. So I might layer some of the powder foundation I have just so that it can match my face better. You guys have a lovely view of my chin. But I do have short bangs, so I take a little bit to my forehead. But I don't go all the way up because, again, I have bangs. I don't really need foundation up there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my concealer. And then if you watch makeup videos, like this is like the go-to concealer shape. You want to go underneath your eyes, even though I feel like most people are probably sleeping more lately than usual. And then a little bit on the forehead here and down the nose, and a little bit on the chin, because foundation just levels your skin out, right? and it just kind of leaves it like a blank canvas. So we're trying to add more dimension. You don't want a flat face. It just looks strange and unnatural. So I take another brush. It's like the other brush, but smaller. I really like using this kind of brush for my concealer because I can go right up there. I'm doing like pouncing motions, not too much swiping, to really press it into my skin. One thing I do want to say though is a lot of people are always talking about how they can't find their shade for foundation. I think it's more of a problem of trying to make sure you have the right undertones for your foundation. That's always one thing to take into consideration when you're out shopping for your makeup. So I really like to highlight. I really like having like the cheek highlight. So I like to add like a creamy, shimmery highlighter and add that right up onto my cheekbones. Because I like to layer my highlight. And then I take that brush again and I go back in. So I also, before I set my face with any kind of powder, I like to set my highlight first. So I like to take my highlighter and I take a brush like this one. You could also use a fan brush. And I take it and I go back right there. Because I like to, I add a lot of highlighter. You guys are going to notice this, I don't know. I take some here on my brow. And on my nose. I'm just gonna go over everything on with my beauty blender before I set anything. Just to get rid of some streaks that I might have created with the brush. By the way, I don't know how many people in this chat are from Montreal and like to sew. I sew quite often myself, and I'm running out of supplies, which is unfortunate because the stores are closed, right? But I just found out that Burdor does orders, so you can call them and tell them what you want, and then they'll bring it to their side door, and then you can go and pick it up, and then you pay with your credit card. So just in case anybody else is in need of a restock on their products.
That's a hot tip.
Me and my mom were really excited about that. We found out today, and we're going today after this to go pick up our fabrics. I want to sew, but I don't have enough products to sew. Okay, in my mirror, the foundation actually doesn't look that bad. It's just that you guys have like the bounce back of my blue screen. So I'm just gonna go in with a large fluffy brush, and I'm gonna take a translucent setting powder and just gonna set things. I really like this one from Too Faced. It smells like peaches. It smells so good. I'm not gonna lie, I fall for makeup gimmicks all the time. If like a makeup product does something cool or if it smells nice, I go right for it. I'm also a sucker for packaging. So if a makeup product looks pretty, then I'm gonna buy it. I have a blush from Milani, I think, and it looks like a flower. Totally bought it because it looks like a flower. All right, we're gonna continue. Now that I've set my face, I didn't go underneath my eyes because I'm going to take a contour palette, a highlight and contour palette. Actually, wait. I have this really nice one from Cheekbone Beauty. You guys might know of this makeup brand. They're an indigenous owned makeup brand, and they have really cool products. They're Canadian and they're indigenous. So I have their Earth palette here. So it's got a contour shade, a bronzer shade, and a highlighting shade. I'm gonna take this one, the highlighting one, and I'm gonna take a brush like this. It's a tiny little flat brush, really fluffy. And I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna go underneath, right there.
I'm just realizing like none of my brushes are fluffy.
What? Oh.
None of my brushes are the fluffy kind.
Oh, yeah, but I also have like a bit of an addiction. Like I have a lot of brushes. It might be a little bit problematic, but hey, this is my profession now. I can have as many brushes I want. I don't even have my professional brushes with me. Those are also under lockdown. So, all right. So I am going to go in. Okay, I don't actually use bronzer the way it's supposed to be used. I'm not a big fan of how it's supposed to be used. Typically you're supposed to use it where the sun would naturally hit your face, like you're kind of a bit on your cheeks, a bit on your nose, and your chin. I'm not a big fan of how that looks. There are like rules for makeup, but there are no rules for makeup at the same time. So I take like a shimmery bronzer and a brush like this. It's kind of like a blush brush a little bit. And I take it and I use it like I would for a contour. So from the ear towards the mouth, I have like a natural little divot for my cheek. Oh no, can you guys hear me from down here? Okay. So I go from here and I just fluff downwards. And then a little bit around the jaw. Because we're adding those dimensions back. See, whereas here it's very flat and very one dimension, like two-dimensional, and then here we're just adding those shadows back to the face. I do my bronzing like this because I find it it'll help the contour blend better. I don't tend to do my makeup with headphones in. Those of you without bangs would be a good time to go around the forehead as well.
Does anyone else find it like really soothing to watch someone do makeup?
Yeah. I used to fall asleep watching videos on like with people doing their makeup. So now every time I'm watching like makeup videos, I almost fall asleep because I've like almost trained myself to fall asleep while watching makeup videos.
Yeah.
Right. Going back to the Cheekbone Beauty palette here, I'm gonna take this shade here for my contour. Notice how this one's like a lot warmer and this one's like a lot cooler toned. You might want to use a shade like this for your contouring. So, or else you look too orange, which also helps balance out the bronzer. So I'm just gonna go back to my cheeks here. And I like to go from, go sweeping up and down, but then also swiping up afterwards. One good tip is you don't want to really see your contouring too much when you look straight ahead. You want to see it from the side, but not too much from the front, or else that's like too far forward.
And sorry, what is the product that you're using now? Like, what do you,
It's this contour shade from the Earth palette from the Cheekbone Beauty palette. I've been meaning to order some of their lipsticks because I heard those are really good quality lipsticks that they have.
I just ordered a tri-pack.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
What's fun though is I actually still have it with me on my makeup desk. Is they add a little pink feather to their orders.
Oh,
So I just keep it at my makeup desk now. um, I don't typically contour my nose too much because I don't wear foundation. I don't tend to wear foundation, but because I am wearing foundation, I'll take a small, like it's an eyeshadow brush for blending, and I'll take just a little bit onto the sides of my nose just to add like a little bit of dimension back to the nose. Nothing too crazy, nothing too much, just a little bit. And then I add some to this little ridge here too. One little note my sister loves to point out, my younger sister, everybody in my family has the nose. We call it the family nose. My mother, my grandmother, my aunts, nieces, sisters, nephews, everybody has the nose except me. So my sister always loves to go to people and they're like, she always likes to ask, so do we look alike? Because we don't, not really. And people will say no. And she's like, it's because of the nose, huh? Yeah, apparently I got my dad's nose instead of my mom's nose. All right, I'm a huge fan of blush. I love blush. Blush is so cute. It adds so much like warmth to the face. So I have this really amazing blush palette at my school, which unfortunately, but I also have this blush palette here. Though I'm not really feeling these ones actually. Because again, the other blush palette I have has really cute names. Again, I fall for gimmicks, but this one has like a delightful names. They have names like Worthy, Fortunate, Extraordinary, you know? So for me, it's my way of like, if I want to feel extraordinary that day, I'm just gonna add a little bit of extraordinary to my cheeks, you know? And then it sets my day. So now for my blush, it's broken, sadly. Here's my little blush that I have that looks like a rose. It's really sweet. Don't know if you guys can see that in the details. So I take a angled brush like this. This is blue because I took it face painting with me and kids didn't realize that this is a makeup brush and they dunk it right into the paint. So it's clean. I just don't use it in my professional kit because it looks stained because it is. So I like to, oh, and it just fell. Okay, so I take a lighter blush. I layer my blushes. I take this from like up here and I start to circle downward. Then a little bit on the cheeks, on the apples. Smiling helps in finding out where you want to put the blush. See, I really love blush. Blush might be one of my favorite steps to do. And then a little bit of this lighter one on the nose. And then I take a shimmery, brighter blush, like this one. It's not that bright in person. A little bit though. I only take a little bit and add it just to the apples. Okay, so that's about it for the face. I'm going to set my face now. So the setting spray will help keep the makeup on. It's kind of like a sandwich of the primer, your foundation, your makeup, and then your setting spray. Keeps everything on. This one smells like honey. All right. So now I'm gonna move on to eyeliner. I personally would like if you want to do like the classic swooshy eyeliner, always go for a liquid. You have more control with it. This one here from Anastasia is amazing because it's got like a brush tip. It's got a felt tip, super tiny. The smaller it is, the better it is, really. So you can really go as hard as you want. You can build it up, but I can't see. I can't see that far. So give me a moment, guys. I'm gonna have to grab a mirror. Okay, again, because of my eye shape, I always do my eyeliner looking straight ahead because I want to make sure that you can still see my eyeshadow when I'm wearing my eyeliner, because it doesn't make sense to do your makeup and then put on an eyeliner and then you lose all the work you did. But I always forget this step. I take a really, really tiny dome brush and I go back to my highlighter and go into the inner corners. I always forget about this part until I do my eyeliner. And then I'll take a little bit more into the eyebrow while I'm here. So my biggest recommendation while doing eyeliner is looking as straight as you can into your mirror so that you can see how your eye sits. Because it's what your natural, like when you're talking to people, your eyes are always going to be looking straight ahead, looking, you know. So you want to make sure that people can still see your eyeliner and your makeup, your eyeshadow. So I like to start with the lid going across, and I like to keep it kind of small.
Jenna's asking if you have any tips for people with freckles who do not want full coverage with foundation.
Don't cover up your freckles. Wear powder foundation. Honestly, I love freckles. They're so cute. Always try to make sure you keep them. And when you cover up your freckles, you don't look like yourself anymore. And it's kind of weird. I had a girl in my makeup class that had really a lot of freckles, and we used the full coverage foundation on her, and it looked so strange. She did not look like herself. So powder foundation, very light coverage, and then you can still see your freckles that way. I don't breathe very much when I'm doing my eyeliner, so don't mind me. I also like to rest my pinky on my face so I have more control. Whenever I'm working with my clients, I always like warn them ahead of time, like I'm gonna be putting my pinky on their face. My inner corner folds up kind of weirdly when my eyes are open, so I like to kind of like squint a little bit so I can really get in there. But makeup is all about trial and error and knowing how your face works, especially with your eyes. So I have like a little bit of pudginess in my eye area here. So when I do my eyeliner this way, what I do is, like, again, I'm repeating myself. I look straight into the mirror and I go up. And then with my eyes still open, because normally people from here will go right in and they'll flick their eyeliner back in. But because my eye shape is weird, I keep my eye open and I go across. And then when I don't know how well you guys can see this, but when I close my eyes, it adds like a odd little shape. But we want that because when I'm looking forward, it looks how the eyeliner I want it to look, you know? And then I fill in that gap.
Ella is asking you, she says, my eyebrows are a pain since I'm so blind that I need my glasses on to pluck them. It's awful. How do I keep my eyebrow shape in lockdown?
Ooh, honestly, my Inuk eyebrows, they're so brutal. They grow in really quickly. So I honestly have been plucking my eyebrows like mad while I've been in here at home. So honestly, I think you're gonna have to try and figure out a way to do that. I don't know. I've actually been wanting to learn how to do threading, like eyebrow threading on myself. But again, also because I can't quite see, I also have that same struggle. Okay, looking at the mirror over there, there's like this gap that I'm not liking. There we go. See the way, so when I look at the mirror, you can see my eyeshadow, you can see my crease eyeshadow, you can see my eyeliner, and then I have like this little ridge here. I mean, I didn't do my eyeliner that big today, so you can't quite see the little shape I have here.
No, we can
See it.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna quickly do the other side. Sorry if you can't see this. I'm just trying to make sure I have time for everything. What's unfortunate though is my eyes are two different shapes. So I do the same steps. I keep looking right into the mirror. And I try and keep the eyeliner as even as I can, but my eyes are two different shapes out in the outer crease. So I just work with it a little bit. My biggest tip for eyeliner, practice. Just keep practicing. Because you really have to know how your eye shape works and how to place it for the look you want. And don't go too crazy. Don't pay too much attention to the details. Okay.
Are there like general rules for the different eye shapes then that are, I mean, if you don't have time to go into all of that, that's fine, but just like general tips for that, for eye shapes?
Honestly, I think for like all eye shapes, just look right into the mirror and just go right into it. Because this is your natural state of mind, like when you're talking to people.
Yeah.
So if you can see it in the mirror, they can see it when they're talking to you, you know?
Yep.
So I honestly think doing it like that is the best way to go about things.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go back into my eyeshadow and take my favorite word apparently, a fluffy brush, kind of like so. It's a little bit pointy, so it's really tiny. And I'm gonna go back to that first shade we used. And I'm just gonna take that underneath my eyes. One thing my teacher noticed about my classmates and I is that we don't take our eyeshadow from under our eyes too dark, too like far down. Now that's something I'm always conscious of when I'm doing my under eye shadow.
Mm.
Sometimes I actually like to keep my under eye clear. Like I won't add any eyeshadow or mascara underneath because I think that actually looks really cute. I don't know, it's charming in its own way. I'm actually going to go back with that other brush earlier in the darker shade again. And just go back into that crease a little bit.
And the shade that you used under the eye was a lighter shade?
Yeah, it's this shade here on this palette. I'm going to take a tiny brush, if I can find the right one. Could have sworn I cleaned it, but I can't find the brush I'm looking for. Okay, well, I'm going to take it. I need a small smudge brush, but I can't seem to find it. So I'm going to take a small brush like this. It's a tiny little pencil brush, and I'm going to go into that darker shade and go in a little bit underneath the eyes. Not too much though. Oh, I went too dark on this side. Just gonna take a brush and try and blend that out a little bit. And even things out. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my mascara. This is the one I like from the drugstore. It's the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. I actually prefer the Maybelline Great Lash, but didn't have that at the store yesterday. So this is my second go-to. Just gonna coat the lashes real quick. I'm not gonna apply lashes today, but my biggest tip for applying lashes is honestly to wait for the lash glue to dry. Like, keep waiting, and if you feel like you've waited too long, wait a little longer. Because then if you apply your lash as like right after applying the lash glue, it's going to move around too much. You need to wait for it to get a little tacky so it doesn't move too much. It'll make life so much easier to wait.
What was the other mascara that you recommended? The Maybelline one?
It looks like this one. It's a Maybelline Great Lash.
Okay.
But I like this is they only had this kind of wand. The one I like is like
bigger,
almost like a heart shape when it's like this. It's like really thick up at the top and then really, really skinny down at the bottom. Okay. I really like that one. I'm not a big fan of
the
this
smaller brush.
Yeah, because this one is like simple, basic.
Yeah.
So I went for this one because it's thick, and it's like thick, thin, and then thick again.
Okay.
To be honest,
what brand is that?
This one's the L'Oreal one, L'Oreal Lash Paradise.
Do you have a daytime mascara and a nighttime mascara? Or a like going out mascara and an everyday mascara?
So everyday mascara for me is wearing mascara. And my nighttime mascara is fake lashes. That's also because I like wearing fake lashes. They're cute, they're fun. I'll even wear them on a day-to-day basis. But to be honest, with mascara, what you want to focus on is the shape of the mascara wand.
Why is
That's what's really important. The formulas don't tend to differ too much from one another,
Hmm.
but the mascara wand really changes everything with how it applies.
Jenna's asking if she missed where you said when you were talking about eyebrows earlier, do you have a preference for filling in brows, like a liner or a wand?
Typically I like to use powders because it's not too crazy, it's not too thick, but my brow powders and my makeup kit in my locker, so I use a pencil. I have this one. This one makes the eyebrows really thick, so I go a little lightly with it. I'm gonna do my brows now. I like to go down on the bottom first, and then the top. Very lightly, because again, this is, it makes the brows too dark, too thick, too quickly. And I go up in this side, and then I'd like to create my tail.
And you do that the same way if you were using a powder, like the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do prefer a powder. I already have pretty thick eyebrows, so sometimes I'll even just use, I don't even know if I have any still. NYX has like a brow gel, like a tinted brow gel, which is really good. I don't know where mine is currently. It might be my kit because apparently everything else is in my kit. That one's really good because it literally just coats your, it's like a little wand, and then it just coats your eyebrows. I actually prefer doing that because it keeps it more natural looking. We don't want eyebrows that look like the Nike checkmark, you know?
Jenna noted that Cheekbone Beauty has a mascara wand, and she's saying NYX has a really nice, small, fine brow liner similar to the one you're using right now.
Yeah, I do like the NYX brow pencil a lot. It's a lot thinner than this one. This one's meant for thick brows and creating thick brows. But I do like the NYX ones. Those ones are really nice, but I used up mine and I haven't restocked up.
Have you used one of those? Have you seen the markers that are like the 3 little lines and they make, you can kind of like draw hairs on? Have you ever used one?
I have really thick eyebrows and I have a lot of eyebrows. So for me, that wouldn't really work. But for people with like sparse brows or really light eyebrows, like blonde eyebrows, that would work really well. It looks really cool. This is just a clear brow gel just to keep things in place because my brows have a habit of going a little crazy. Okay, I also have a beauty mark here. I'd like to just clear it of the foundation. I also recommend, like, if you're gonna be using like a bullet lipstick, like so, like a standard lipstick, I really would recommend using a lip liner. Lip liners actually change the game quite a bit. But all my good lip liners are in my kit. But I really like, I have some here, but I would recommend you getting like pencils like this that you can sharpen, because then you can make it really sharp. I don't recommend brushes like this where you twist it to get the product out, because you can't really get that sharp. Like that's always going to be a little bit blunt. So you want a really sharp lip liner for things. But if you're going to be using a liquid lipstick like this, where it looks like a lip gloss, but it's a lipstick, it dries down matte, you don't really need a lip liner for that. Also, I recommend for people like for shades of red, you might want to be careful with how you choose your shades. So if you want your teeth to look really white, really bright and everything, I would choose like a red undertoned red. And if you use like a lipstick that's like a red that's more orange undertoned. It'll make your teeth look a little yellow. This one's still a really nice color. It's like orange undertones are really vibrant and like juicy. So I do still like to use them, but I just prefer the blue undertoned reds more personally. I don't have any tips for any other like nudes. I don't tend to wear nude lipstick too often, so I'm still trying to figure out my way through nudes. Because I like to use like bright colors. I like to use purples or reds or anything else other than nudes, really, because I find they're more fun. But ColourPop has some really amazing liquid lipsticks. They're quite drying, so I would suggest using a really good, really thick lip balm for liquid lipsticks in general, really. For bullets, you can use regular lip balm, but the ColourPop ones tend to be drying, but they're really pretty. And they're only $6, which is a nice bonus for someone that really likes lipsticks. And then because I'm using a liquid lipstick, I'm gonna go right in with the brush. And again, I can't see, so I'm just grabbing a mirror. So I like to fill in like the centers of my lip first, and then build my way to the line, the lip line. I have a piercing here, so I just go around it. The reason you don't really need a lip liner for liquid lipsticks is because they're quite pigmented.
And what was that one called again when you're done?
This one's ColourPop, and it's in the shade. One second. I really like this color. This one's a really nice color. This one is Ariba.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. They have a ColourPop. It also has like a lot of like colorful lipsticks. Like they have a bunch of different purples and stuff too, which is really fun. Purple lipstick is so much fun. I'm just fixing up this shape a little bit. One thing about liquid lipstick though is that it's super hard to remove. Keep that in mind.
Do you have any tips for people wanting to experiment with outlining their lips and the shape suggestions to experiment with? Ooh, that's a good question from Chiquipa. That's a question that I have too.
For lip shape, honestly, stick to what I like to do is if I'm not overlining my lipstick, is I just go right to where my lip naturally ends. But if you want to overline your lips, it also helps just to go just a little bit past that area. And also, I have like these really pointy Q-tips, which really help. One end is super pointed, and the other end's rounded, so it helps with going in with sharp lines and stuff and cleaning things up. They're super helpful. Also, make sure when you touch your face that you don't have lipstick. Helps a lot. And then here, I'm just going to be doing some touch-ups. I see some fallout here. not happy with that. And part of the reason why I really love creams is because I can easily go in and dab a little bit and it goes right back to how I want it to look. And then because I really do like highlighter, my last step is usually to highlight my face again using the shimmery highlighter. You can also use fan brushes for highlighting, which is also really nice. But I really like this brush from Anastasia. I find highlighting just adds like a little bit of lightness, and it looks really nice in pictures. And this is how I would typically do my makeup if I'm going out and getting dressed up. All right.
Amazing. All right.
If you guys have any questions, like always feel free to contact me on my social media. You can find me on Instagram at Painted by Nauya. I'm fully happy to answer some questions. I have a lot of free time, as some of you may know. So just feel free to contact me and ask me any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Nauya. That was awesome. I'm sure everybody will join me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to end the recording. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no
For all
problem.
the other workshops, I hope. Bye.
Oh yeah. Bye.
Thank you.